Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Retro. Yes, and I don't have a guest. I don't have a co-host tonight, but I do have somebody is equally as special. This is the legendary, and I'm not just saying it just to be throwing out a name. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the legendary Kez McCorvey. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
Man, another day without a dollar, like we talked about. Uh, so what's been up these days, Kez?
Well, I live in Tallahassee, Florida here. I've been here for the last 10 years. I was coaching, but then I feel like God called me to full-time ministry and that didn't change me coaching because I still coached. But I've been also doing some other different projects in full-time ministry, Christian ministry here in town and around the state. And so that's what I do right now. Currently, I'm the head football coach at North Florida Christian here in Tallahassee. So this is my second year doing that. I also work for Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I also have my own foundation, Legacy Playmakers, where we go into underprivileged schools and we do coaching, the mentorship through coaching, actually. So I do mentorship through coaching. So we use that coaching platform to uh, really impact kids the same way I was impacted by my coach, right? And we get a chance to do that using that platform to be able to impact elementary kids in the schools.
That's amazing. I have something like that myself, and we'll talk about it later. And we can link up with this because everybody that I mentioned, everybody that I interview that played at Florida State has the same. You guys do the same. So I know Coach Bobby raised you guys well. Uh, I talked to Connell Spain. He said he does the same thing. I talked to Marquette Smith last month. He does the same thing. I mean, all of you guys, Nefi Moffitt, they all of you guys do the same thing, and that's amazing, bro.
Well, I think you're right. That is a pattern. It's a pattern of sacrifice, right? And just really, and one of the things too is just understanding what a coach does, right? When you get a picture of what a coach does, and like Coach Bob said, a picture for us, I mean, you want to replicate that. You want to replicate that, and that's that just to see him have a caring program, coaches that cared about you, wanted to see the best for you, the way they spoke to you. He was tough on us, but guess what? I knew he loved me. I know he loved me and cared about me and cared about my situation, my life too, as well as all the coaches that were on that staff showed. And so, when you see that, you know that it's possible.
Amen. So let's get started on your second career, Kez, because you're, I think you and Smith. When I interviewed him, I told him I think we're related. I told guys, you two guys, and Cody Fag,
Yeah.
bro, y'all are Houdini, bro. It's impossible to get in touch with you guys. So, uh, I had an easier time getting up with Randall Hill, and he works for the Secret Service now. I had
Yeah.
a time getting up with him than you guys. So you guys are unicorns, man.
Well, I'm trying not to be. I'm trying to be very available.
Yeah, they're good, bro, and we should link up later. We'll talk about it. So you played football at Pascagoula. Like I said, I have a brother that lives down that way. Pascagoula Panthers,
Yeah.
1997 state champs.
Yeah.
So
I
talk
got
about
some great stories. Well, I got some great stories. Well, we came from middle school, and my community was very athletic. I mean, very athletic. I moved from there, from a little small town, moved over there when I was in the fifth grade. When I got there, that's when I first met Terrell Buckley and a bunch of other athletes. My cousin Keith Josephs was on the team too as well. We grew up together, and then I moved to Goshen, where he was at school in the same elementary, and it was a bunch of super great athletes in that community. And then we actually go to high school, and all of those guys converged. They converged, and you had the biggest school in Mississippi with a bunch of athletes, a bunch of college and professional athletes on the same team. The year before I got to high school, and I didn't start playing football until middle school. I didn't, I was a baseball player. That was my primary sport, was baseball. I could throw that thing a million miles per hour, and I know I'm but I could throw it and I could hit it a gazillion, and I can run, and I can catch, and all that kind of stuff. I could play baseball. But the thing about baseball is none of my friends play baseball, and you got to have that friend factor in that situation. And so football was the thing that kind of, but with my friends, we all converged. And so I started playing basketball in middle school, and started running track in middle school, and finally started playing football in middle school, and not knowing how to play football. And so Gaucher Junior High is where I started. And I think my first week out there, I went out to play football, and Terrell was out there, and I tell the story about him too as well, because now I can remember exactly. You have a better sense of what happened back then. But my first couple of days in practice, right, I ended up doing an Oklahoma drill with Terrell. Now he's a year older than me. He's the best player on the team. And how do I, a first-year player, just got his helmet, don't know how to put his helmet pads in his pad, go against him? And I keep telling him, I said, man, I believe you told coach that you want to go against me so you can get me. But that joker ran me over for 3 days in a row. He ran me over. And I think maybe the third day I managed to, as I was getting ran over, grab him on the back of his shoulder pads and pull him down to get him down for my first opportunity.
Terrell.
But, yes, he put his helmet in. He was Terrell back then. He was Terrell back then. He was, he had this awareness that most middle school kids and elementary kids don't have. He just had that. And so it was just like, it was freaky just playing with him. Like, this guy here is so confident that he does stuff that nobody else was willing to do or had the courage to do. He would do it. And I'm just like, he is like a unicorn. But also it made me hate him too. Made me hate him. But those were some of the athletes. I mean, we had big kids and we had fast kids. It was so many kids that could run in my community, and so many kids that were athletic in my community. Basketball players. We had a bunch of 7-footers in my community played on my middle school team. I had 2 7-footers played on my middle school team. Antonio Hart, both of them played professional basketball, on my middle school team, and so that's the kind of community I grew up with. And so I go play football. I'm not very good. I think my first year I played nose tackle, and then they kept moving me back from nose tackle to defensive end, the linebacker, then onto offense. They moved me to tight end, and then finally they moved me to receiver. And so when I got to high school, I didn't know we were going to be that good. There was no keys or signs that said we were going to be any good in football. Matter of fact, the year before, I think we lost to Escambia. Now, back then, Escambia was the state champion. But we lost to Escambia like 35-0. And I remember hearing guys say, man, we're terrible. We just lost to this team, Escambia, 35-0, man. We ain't going. We're going to play football at Pascagoula. Not knowing that Escambia is the #1 team in the nation with Emmitt Smith and all those great football players. And so we get to high school, and I get on the high school team, and I'm just trying to hang with my friends again, just trying to hang out with my friends. And back then, high school was the 10th grade was high school. 9th grade was still part of middle school. And so I'm in the 10th grade, and I'm high school, and I'm playing basketball, and I'm planning to run track and play baseball primarily, and play some football. But football happens to be the first sport of the year. And so you're playing football. All my friends are playing. It's like a gazillion players on the team, and it's a bunch of them. And we are pretty good, and we go out through the regular season, and we don't lose any games through the regular season. And most of the teams we play, almost like 9 or 10 other teams we played, we shut them out. Nobody scores. Nobody scores.
So did you just play one position? Did you just play one side of the ball?
My freshman year, I did. I played one side of the ball. I played receiver until my senior year. My junior and senior year, I played nickel. I would go out there if they had a receiver or they were the passing team. I would go out there and they would put me to cover that guy. But most of the time, I just played offense.
Okay. So to add to your point, it says you played. You said baseball was your first love, but it says here you were a 4-sport star.
Yeah.
So you ran track as well, and
Yeah.
let's look at some of your accolades. All-star game, How did you do in the All-Star game that you played?
You know, when I got there, I didn't, because I didn't have a great season my senior year. And so when I got to the All-Star game, I was just trying to, man, am I good enough? At that time, I was the only guy that signed at Florida State. All the other guys signed in-state, local, not say local team, but they signed in-state, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, those teams that are in-state, Southern Miss. And I was the only one that signed at Florida State. Now, back then, Florida State was big time, you know. So I got a lot of eyes cut at me about me signing with Florida State. And and to add on to it, I wasn't all state. I didn't make any all state teams. I was all district.
Really?
Yeah, I was all district. I didn't have a great year. I had maybe 360, 70 yards receiving. We just didn't throw the ball very well. My quarterback was going to be my quarterback, Ted Alford, or it's going to be me playing quarterback. And so I opted out. And so he drew the short straw, which I probably should have played quarterback because of the production I had. But I didn't do really good as far as stats in the season. We won some games. We did pretty decent winning games, but I didn't do really well, with the stats I had. I think I had like 10, 11, 12 touchdowns, something like that, but didn't have a whole lot of yardage. And so I come into the game without a lot of fanfare. And so I'm playing again. I'm going against the other teams where they had Antonio Langhams and a bunch of Alabama guys and a bunch of really good football players over there. And I was going out there to show what I could do. And then during practice, I did that. I felt like I went out there and I dominated as far as practice is concerned. I feel like, where they, I'm a route runner. And so I can get open,
Yes,
but then, yeah. And so I think I was kind of before my time, as far as that is concerned, but I'm a route, I can get open. And if you're going to throw the ball 10 times, 30 times a game, guess what? I'm going to catch. I'm gonna get open enough to be able to make it good for you. But if you're gonna do one reverse or or some stuff like that, like flanker stuff, then I'm probably not your guy.
Bro, you're amazing in that aspect over time. That's what we know that played in that game with you, that All-Star game that we would know. Not anybody that went to Florida State or just anybody we didn't know.
Yeah, like I said, Antonio Langham, he played at Alabama, played DB. We went against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Them jokes played cover 2 the whole game too. And who was it? He played linebacker. I think of his name. I think they called him not Megatron, but RoboCop. And you got a name like RoboCop, you gotta be tough. But Alabama's team was really, really good. Our team was good, pretty good too as well, but Alabama's team was really, really good. They were big, they were physical. They had a lot of, Power 5 guys on that team from Auburn, from Alabama, all that kind of place right there. And we didn't have as many. And so we were probably, but the game ended up being close some kind of way.
What was the score?
I think the score was 14-7.
That was
14-7. Yeah. In the game, I feel like I had a chance to break the game open. You know how you make a play, I kind of post over the middle, and Antonio Langham was coming at me, and during the season, I had always, like, if a guy was coming, I used my hurdle capabilities, the hurdle guys. Antonio came up my legs, and I did not hurdle him. And you always got one of those plays that you got in mind that you like, man, I wish I had just, do what you usually do, just hurdle that cat and get him to the end zone. But I didn't, and he tackled me. And so prevented me from having the long touchdown, game-winning touchdown that you would, you want to have. But like I said, it was a good game, and it was a good opening opportunity to move outside my own group of people to prove to myself that I was as good as I thought I was.
Yeah, I think you were. The Alabama guys, they chirp a lot because I had John Copeland on the show, and him and Antonio Langham. That's all they do. So you did letter in all 4 sports in high school, huh?
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's an accomplishment. And hurdles. You mentioned hurdles. Famer in this stuff, Kez.
Huh?
You're a Hall of Famer in this stuff, man.
Yeah, I recognize that now. I recognize that now. It's hard to think about that because of so far you came. You know who my high school quarterback was? My high school quarterback was Shane Matthews.
Was it Shane Matthews that played with the Gators?
Yep, Shane Matthews was my high school quarterback in the state championship. Let me tell you the story right here. So I'm in the 10th grade. And we're not playing. I'm on the JV, and the whole year we didn't really win many games, but then the games we did win, we only scored because we ran one play, the halfback pass. And so I think I caught like 6 halfback passes on the JV team during the whole JV season, right? And then we get into the playoffs, and like I said, we hadn't lost any games. We hadn't lost any games at all, and the games haven't been close. They've been blowouts. And we get to the playoffs. We killed the first round. Second round, we killed. We're in the third round of the playoffs. We're playing a team that's pretty strong. It's raining. It's raining. It's wet. And for the first time all year long, we're down. The other team has scored points. We're down. I'm on the sideline with the rest of my buddies. We ain't touched the varsity field all year long. And then the first quarter, one of the receivers gets hurt. Right. So it's one of the senior older guys gets hurt. And so I'm looking on the field like, man, this is a tough game. We're in trouble. And fourth quarter, another receiver gets hurt. So it's fourth quarter. I think we're down by 3 or 4 in the game, four points in the game. It's raining. Another receiver gets hurt. We way backed up, right? And we're down. And so we've been behind the sticks. We've been behind the whole game. And this receiver gets hurt, and we're on the sideline. I'm thinking to myself, man, we in trouble. Man, our second receiver got hurt. And then all I hear from the sideline is Kez. And he said, Kez, you're in the game. I'm like, what? I don't even know the plays. You're in the game, get in the game. And so I put my Gatorade down with the rest of my buddies because we over there drinking all the Gatorade. I put my Gatorade down and I put my helmet on and I go into the game. I ain't warmed up. I'm cold. I'm wet. I ain't did nothing. I ain't ran since the warm-up before the game. And I ain't played the whole year. And so I get into the game, I get into the huddle, 4 minutes, I think less than 4 minutes, maybe 3 minutes to go in the game. I get into the huddle, I don't know what down it was, and I get in the huddle, and Shane Matthews says, halfback pass to Kez on 1. And I'm like, what? Halfback pass to Kez on 1. And I go out there, and I'm just in shock. I don't know what to think, really. And so I'm not thinking. And so I go out there, I line up, and I look back there. They switched the tailback because I fullback could throw the ball. And so I go out, line up, and I see the DB. I think I'm going to do what I've been doing before in the JV game. I'm pretend like I'm blocking. He's going to bite. I'm going to run. I pretend like I'm blocking. He's looking at me in my face like, you ain't blocking. And so I just run down the field. And I run down the field, and then all of a sudden I look up in the air. I look up in the air. And when I look up in the air, all I can see is rain. It's rain. But at the last second, I see this brown piece of rain. And so I dive for that thing. And guess what? I catch it. Yes, I did. I catch that thing, I think on the 4-yard line. All right, in low. So it was like a 47-yard pass. I catch the thing on the 4-yard line. The next play, I jump up, and everybody just jumps on me, right? Everybody jumps on me. And, great play. And then I go to the sideline, stand on the sideline. They say, Kid, you still in the game. Get in the game. I get back in the game, and Shane throws a touchdown pass to the All-American tight end, and we win the game. And that was the start of me considering football as a primary sport. Yep. After that game, you know what? All of a sudden, we go on the next game to dominate and win the state championship game. The next game was the state championship game. When we go in to win that game, I think I had like 4 receptions. Shane Matthews is telling me every play, well, Kez, you got to come back. Kez, you're blocking. Kez, you run a post. Kez, you do this right here. On every play, he's telling me what to do because I don't know the plays. And we go on to win the state championship, and then everybody now assumes and says that Kez McCorvey is the next greatest thing coming out. Now, my 11th grade year, I don't do jack. I am smelling myself so good that I don't do nothing.
So was that game or the state championship your best game?
You know what? In high school, I would say that game. I would say that state championship game, and that run of 2 games are my best games. I would say because my heart was my heart was in it, you know, and I think my junior year, I don't know if my heart was in it. I was smelling myself, you had a bad attitude. I actually quit for a little bit playing the other sports, because you get in it for the praise. You get in for it. I try to caution guys today to not do that too as well. You got to be in love with the sport. You got to be in love with football. You got to be in love with your teammates. That thing gets you to fall in love with what you get from it is when you get in trouble. And that's where I was at. I was in trouble because I was trying to see what I got from it. The girls liked me. Everybody talked well about you, and it's all that kind of stuff like that. And so you kind of get caught up in that kind of deal. But long story short, that helped me to fail enough to know I need to work hard. And then I started to work hard. And then I really got to Florida State. I'm gonna let you ask questions too. I'm sorry. Well, I really got to Florida State because I went to camp. And then I went to camp because I failed enough times in that second year to where I was hungry again. And when you get hungry, guess what you do? You do stuff that you need to do that you don't want to do. And so I started doing stuff I needed to do that I didn't want to do. And when I got to camp, I was ready. And when they saw me at camp, Florida State saw me at camp, they saw a guy that was a killer, that was hungry, and they wanted that.
I get like that when I play football in games. I miss a block that I should have taken, and I get yelled at by the quarterback, and that stuff just makes you want to try harder. I feel you on that. Uh, Tell me about how much of an influence your parents were in your journey, because I know they had to be going crazy taking you to each and every sport all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think sport helped my parents to kind of, curtail, kind of, you know, get me under control. I really was hurting as a young man. I didn't grow up with my dad, and I grew up with my mom, and my mom was trying to, feel that position of being my having a dad in my life. And so that was hard. And so she did a great job of allowing other people to help too as well. My first coach was a great influence on my life. And my mom knew enough to be able to. I needed that out. That's why I got involved in so many sports. She knew I needed that. What's what I'm looking for. That exit of energy, so to speak, through sport. She knew I needed that, and she was a great for me as far as being involved with sport. She kind of made sacrifices to help me and let me stay involved with sports too as well. And so if you're gonna play 4 sports and you don't have a car, guess who's coming to get you? Mama. And so she was there to pick me up at all them sports: baseball practice, basketball practice, football practice, track practice. Mom was there to pick me up after work. And so I'm sure I'm very thankful that she loved me enough, when she loved me, to be able to first of all find something that I was passionate about, and then go all in on that with me.
So let's ask this, and I wanted to ask you this before you got deeper. How far father wasn't there, if you don't mind me asking?
Did I say it again?
Father wasn't there. You said father wasn't there too much.
Yeah, yeah, he wasn't. We didn't. My mother and my father never got married, right? You get no situation. Father and mother never got married, and then there was some animosity. I don't know. You don't know what the total situation was, but there was some animosity, and so they never connected. And so I like, for me, I'm not angry at my dad now. At the time when I was growing up, right, you were frustrated. You wanted to figure out. You're trying to put the pieces together, right? Why is this not the same as other situations, right? And so you don't have all the information. You try to put it together yourself, and then what you do is you usually blame yourself. There's something lacking in yourself, or something that the situation that you had control over that's not right. And so I did that when I was younger, right? Which is, if you're a young person, that's a mistake. You don't do that. But
Right.
that's what young people do. Young people, you use the things around you to make assessments and come up with uh, the rationale behind why things happen. And that's what I did too as well. And you make those mistakes. And so as you get older, you really come to the point where you realize, how the world works, who people are, right? And then you learn how to forgive too as well. Learn to forgive and forgive yourself.
So that was great. That was refreshing, actually. So let's talk about you're finished with high school now, Kez, and you're you're recruited. I mean, besides Florida State.
Hmm.
since-
Well, initially nobody recruited me. Initially nobody recruited me. It's not like it wasn't like nowadays. It wasn't like nowadays. It was. I mean, now everybody. When you get an offer, everybody knows. Matter of fact, offer don't mean nothing. When I got recruited from Florida State, my coach had some pull because he had Terrell Buckley and he had a bunch of guys. So he said, "Hey, this guy's good. Guess what? You believe in." And so, but they didn't believe him enough just to offer him because I didn't have the stats behind me. But I had to go to camp, and so I only went to one camp. So the camp I went to was Florida State camp. So when I left Florida State, I left with an offer. Kez McCorvey, we want you. We want you. Then I went home. And just went back to where we were doing. And then it wasn't until the middle of the season that another team offered me. And that other team was Tulane. Tulane came to a game, saw me do my thing in the game, and they offered me. That was the only other team during the season that offered me. Now, after the season, right before signing day, when they had heard Florida State, I guess they put it out there then that they're offering Kez McCorvey. So then I got calls from everybody. Texas called me, LSU called me, Alabama called me, Auburn called me, Florida called me back again. All the teams called back. Ole Miss called me. All the teams called you back on that day because, and during that day you fluctuate. Guys, you miss on guys, you get guys. The guys you want to get, they go somewhere else, right? And then you're looking to try to, you're looking to you fill your roster. And so you're looking now. You're looking a little more intently than you would look back, at first. And so my name came up on a lot of people's deal, but I was already committed. I was already focused. Matter of fact, I went on the trip to Tulane. My mom was like, "Kez, where you going to school at?" I said, "Florida State." She said, "Well, I'm not going on more recruiting trips." And so I only went on one other one too. I went to Tulane because I want to go out and party. I'm sorry.
So
In New Orleans.
I I'm gonna take a stab in the dark. You, I'm thinking Coach Bowden, and we'll get into him later. I'm thinking Coach Bowden already done charmed her. I'm thinking he already done charmed her, and hey, this is where he going. So
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing right here too, because before I was recruited before I went. I'm the type of person, if you challenge me, that's where I want to go. I'm going for the challenge, right? And so Florida State was a challenge. Long before they offered me a scholarship, I was already going to go there just so I can show them who I am. And so that was the plan. I had no plan of going anywhere else. I really had a plan. My target was Florida State. They weren't targeting me. I was targeting them. And so I was going there to show them that I'm a football player. And so when I went to camp, they had some of the best football players there. Matter of fact, they had the number one receiver in the nation at the time there. And I was going with the intent of showing everybody that I'm better than him.
that time, who's the number one receiver in the nation?
His name was Andre Hastings.
Andre Hastings. He eventually went to Georgia.
Yep, he went to Georgia. And so he was at that camp too at the same time. And he didn't, I'm sure he wasn't aware of it, but it was some alpha pheromones being pushed out by myself and him for being a top dog at the camp. And at that camp, I feel like I was that guy.
Some questions right quick. 4676 asking, what were you running 40s in high school?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, can I tell you the truth?
Yes.
Yeah, the truth is, my senior year, I was probably like a 4.7, 4.6, 4.7, you know. But but my going to my senior year, going to the summer my senior year, I think for practice I ran a 4.940 before I went to camp, and I'm gonna tell you the story behind that. Is that helped me to focus? So because I ran that, I had other guys on my team that could run fast, 4.3, 4.4, they could fly, and I was so embarrassed that I knew I needed to put some work down. So when I got to Florida State, at the camp at Florida State, I ran a 4.5. And so I went to Florida State, ran a 4. I wasn't gonna run a 4.9 and get no scholarship from Florida State, but I ran a 4.5 at Florida State.
You guys, and I'm gonna tell you a quick story. My cousin, he was being recruited the same time you were. He's out of Weaver Hitchcock, Florida, Michael Myers. And
Yeah.
he, I would have loved to see you two. I think y'all were in the same recruiting class, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Tell me his name again.
Michael Myers.
Michael Myers. I don't know if I knew Michael. I don't know if I knew Michael. Like I said, I only knew one name when I came to camp. That was Andre. And the only reason I knew Andre because he was in Sports Illustrated, and yeah, and you know, and so I was aware of him, and you know, I'm going to show him up, and so that was kind of the deal. And I'll tell you the kind of what I can see now is I had different skill sets that were unique at the time. You know, I could run. I'm pretty fast. I was pretty 4.5 is fast. 4.5 is fast. And then I could put my foot in the ground and change direction like nobody else could do. You know, I feel like I had a secret weapon to where, I mean, nobody could put their foot in the ground like me and change direction. And so that was kind of, you know, my secret weapon that I felt like I had an advantage over everybody. I couldn't, you know, it was hard to press me because I was quicker. You know, I've got long arms, I'm quick, and then it's hard to press. And so that was my specialty, is winning on press, on man-to-man, you know.
High school did you take that you took?
Say it again.
High school that you took.
I missed the first part of it again. Say it again.
It says, what is the hardest hit in high school that you took?
Oh man, I don't even know. I wasn't trying to get hit at all in high school. I wasn't trying to get hit at all. That's the problem. That probably was my problem in high school. I'm just telling you the truth. In high school, I think I underachieved. You know, I didn't play as good as I wanted to play. I could have played. You know, I don't know for what reason, but I didn't play as good as I could. I feel like I could have played. I feel like I let some of my friends down in high school. But I don't think I don't think I took a whole lot of hits in high school. I don't think I did. It was, you know, I don't think I got tackled, but I didn't get hit. That's the thing. That was the thing about me. I'm gonna say like I'm bragging, but people were afraid. People were trying to get me on the ground. They weren't trying to hit me hard. They were just trying to if I can just get them on the ground. You know, we got it. And so I didn't get hit a hard line. Now in college, that's another story. Pros, that's another story.
It's funny that you mentioned that because he comes back with another question. He says, thank you for answering his question. I have one more. Who is the hardest corner you ever faced in college?
No, get some good ones. Now, the hardest corners I faced in college were on the practice field.
Hold off on that question. Hold off on answering that question because I want to get to this first. Down here at FSU, who came to recruit you? Who was recruiting you the hardest to come to Florida State?
Well, I think it was two people. It was Mickey Andrews. Mickey. It was a combination of three guys that really wanted me at Florida State that saw me first. It was John Eason was the receiver coach. All right, the tailback coach Billy Sexton and Mickey Andrews. So they were in my area and they saw me play, and so they stepped up and vouched for Coach Bowden. You know, because back then you had to have three guys to vouch for you to be recruited. Three of the coaches had to agree. And so those were the three guys that vouched for me as far as wanting to recruit me to come and play receiver for them.
Okay, yeah. Coach Sexton has been in everybody's answers. That's interesting.
Yeah, and then you know Mickey Andrews was the area recruiter. So Mickey would come and spend time out. So I got a chance to spend a lot of time with Coach Andrews. I mean, we still a tight to this day because of he recruited me.
I love Coach Andrews. I love Coach Andrews, man.
Yeah.
So now we're here at Florida State. Describe your emotions and your mindset about competition, because you were coming in, pretty much a baby face.
Yeah.
Uh, there are some guys called the Fab Four you were following.
Yeah.
Some Bruce Lassane, Terry Anthony, Ronald Lewis, which I'll have on the show this week. And who else? Bruce Lassane,
Terry Anthony, Lawrence Dawson,
the Fab Four.
Yeah.
That was Peter Warwick, in my opinion.
Yeah. And so, man, you know what? When I came in, I was, I had watched those guys because I saw the year before them play, and then the next year I saw Dawson play. The year before I got there, Dawson had a great game, and just watching those guys play, and then you had the young guys there too as well. So when I came in, you had Matt Fryer, who was the national all-time receptions leader for a year and for a career. You had Kevin Knox, who was 6'4", ran a 4.4 40, and then you had Eric Terrell, who was the all-time national punt return champion. He had the most punt returns for, was on the cover with Dion. And then you had Shannon Baker, who was Florida's fastest man. You had all these guys that were already there, and then you had me. And so I'm sitting there. I really feel, when I look at their stats, I really feel, inconsequential, because my stats didn't measure up to what theirs were. And so when I got to campus, I remember coming to campus early, and I remember sleeping on Lawrence Dawson and Terrell Buckley's couch for a couple of days. And then what happens is a bunch of the guys come over there, and we get to talking about their highlight film. Now, I've seen Terrell's highlight film. Terrell had 22 touchdowns, 22 interceptions. Terrell had 10 interceptions, 10 touchdowns, all right, and only played on defense. You have 10 touchdowns, and you only play on defense. How you getting them touchdowns? Big plays. And so I knew his highlight was off the chain, right? But then when the other guys come over there, they put in their highlight film. It's like, my goodness, all these guys are mutants. Eric Terrell's, I mean, he's got like 10 punt returns or whatever, something crazy, and then you got, Ant Lee. Nobody can touch Ant Lee out there. And he not only is he dunking and shooting threes, but he's also making people miss and knocking people's helmets off. And I'm like, good Lord, is everybody here a mutant? And so at that point, I am scared. I'm scared. I'm like, man, do I belong here? Right? Do I belong here? Because I'm, you're getting doubt in your mind because of what everybody else has done. And so I remember going to the atrium for the first day of all the guys getting there. And I remember being at the bottom of the stairs, and this loudmouth DB comes walking down the stairs. His name is Corey Boucher Fuller. So he's walking down the stairs, and he notices me. He didn't, I guess he read the book or whatever they have coming in, and he notices me. He said, hey, you that receiver that came to the camp and tried out for the football team and made the team. And I look at him like if my eyes could kill, I would have probably killed him. But I was like, you know what? I don't know if I belong here or not, but I'm gonna destroy you. And that was that helped me to get to the point to where, you know what, I'm not scared. And I went out to practice, and I told them rascals up. They had a whole bunch of guys out there, Cliff and Corey Sawyer, Cliff Abraham, Corey Sawyer, and a bunch of Corey Fuller and a bunch of other guys. And I felt like I just wrecked them guys. And then after that first couple of days, I realized, okay, I can play here. I can do more than play here.
High school. I seen your practice against Corey. I seen your practice. You and Omar Ellison.
Yeah.
I seen you putting that work on him. I need you to ask a question for me, because this has been a myth here. Answer a question for me. There is a rumor that Shannon Baker actually went to the NFL Combine, and people didn't document his 40 time, and they said it was actually the fastest 40 time of all, but it didn't get documented.
I don't know. I know Shannon Baker is fast. He ain't just fast. 10 too fast. I mean, so he ain't. I mean, shoot, it was a bunch of guys that could run. I mean, I saw Shannon run 4.2 at Florida at his pro day workout. I was there with the guy with his timer 4.2. So I know he can fly. I know he's probably one of the fastest guys around ever. And so I've seen the guys that can run. I don't know about the combine thing. I didn't hear about that, but I wouldn't doubt it because Shannon Baker can fly.
Yeah, this has been a rumor for years. I mean, and people are not talking about it enough. That Shannon Baker actually had the fastest 40 time in combine history, but they didn't document it because I guess he didn't go as far as they thought he should. And
Yeah.
that's unfair to him. And I got to get him over here and we'll talk about that.
You got to get him over here. Some of the fastest 40 I've seen. I was there when Shannon ran. Shannon ran 4.2. I saw Terrell run a 4.2. Terrell could run a 4.2 as well. I saw Philip Riley.
Yes, sir.
Run 4.2, low 4.2. And I saw Philip Riley run, and I saw Lavernius Coles run 4.2, 4.1, 4.2 as well. So Philip ran a 4. They had some people had 4.19, some people had 4.2. I mean, I've seen some fast guys too that could fly at Florida State. Florida State had some speed.
They did. So actually, Matt Fryer and we went to the same high school together, Live Oak Swanee. Him and my brother won a state championship together. Guys, what was that? In 89, 90, I can't remember the year.
I think 89.
Connell Crockton, they won a state championship together. So sitting behind those guys, like the Fab Four, what did Lawrence Dawsey teach you, if he taught you anything?
Well, to me, I think one of the biggest things Dawsey helped me to realize, because our game was different. Dawsey was more physical than me. Dawsey is strong, athletic, physical, and my game was kind of finesse game, basically. But what we did is we got a physical nature from Dawsey, a toughness. That's the thing you get from Dawsey, right? A refusal to back down. It's like having your big brother behind you when you're playing. You're not afraid of anybody because you got your guy behind you. And so that's what it was like. I needed that when I came in as a freshman. When I came in as a freshman, I was told this right here. It said, Kez, I was told, Kez, I want to redshirt you. And Doc Easton told me this. He said, hey, you could play this year. You could possibly even start, but all the balls is going to Dawsey. That's what he told me. All the balls is going to Dawsey, and I believe too, because Dawsey had been part of the Fab Four. He'd been in the fire. My goodness, he was confident. He ended up becoming an All-American during that year. So that was the thing that we needed to have with Dawsey, is that just to have that confidence, and that kind of bridged that young group over to our phase of success that we had.
So here's my question. You mentioned the red shirt, but let me get back on Lawrence Dawsey right quick, because he ticked me off. He missed out on a 1,000-yard season by 1 yard one year. So,
yeah. Yep. I did the same thing, man. I did the same thing. He had 999 and I had 989.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I have that here. You said red shirt. You did. I mean, did you actually want a red shirt, or did you want to play, or what?
Well, you know what? I mean, at the time, I didn't know. I really did want to play my first year. I really did want to play. And I think if I had played, I think I would have probably been more. Because when you come out from high school and you already got that rhythm of playing, right? It's easier to go back into the first year of playing. It's harder to be off for 1 year and not getting in the game and not getting into the battle and then trying to crank it back up again. So for myself, I personally would have liked to, play right off the bat, just to get your keep your game intensity and your game awareness, and not be afraid to make mistakes and all that kind of stuff. But in the big picture of it, it really, I guess it really helped me because, I believe this, right? All things work for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to purpose. So, in the big picture of it, it worked out. But, I kind of wish that I had not redshirted and played to keep the momentum of playing going from high school to college.
Makes sense. I want to go ahead. I'll answer this guy's question, but I'm looking at who you had to go against in practice because
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it. Is DBU to me.
Yeah.
Them and us and LSU. I'll give LSU the 1B, but this is who you had to go against in practice. You had to go against Terrell Buckley.
Yep.
Y'all related?
Say what?
Or you and Earl McCorvey.
Yeah, we related. He went to Escambia. He was on that Escambia team that whooped us down 35-0 in high school.
Cut it out, Ken Folk. Tell Ken Folk to cut it out. John Davis, Richard Coles, and Corey Fuller.
Yeah, Corey Fuller, Corey Sawyer, Clifton Abraham, All-American. Corey Sawyer, multiple year pro played, drafted and played pro for a bunch of years too as well. There's a bunch of the guys that really, a bunch of the guys that I got to go against that were great. Terrell, I've been going against him since elementary school. And so when I got to high school, when I got to college, I was pretty, as soon as I saw him have success, I knew, okay, I go against him I go against him in practice all the time. I'm good. I figured that was in my back pocket. I go against Terrell all the time. If he's starting, right, then, not that I was killing Terrell all the time, but I get him sometimes too as well, every once in a while. But if he's winning, I be like, okay, I can play too. And so those guys were, they were running into a bee's hive, if I can say that.
Yes. So Fuller actually ran a 4.35, huh?
Yeah, he was fast. He was probably at the old of the guys that were my same class. He was probably a tougher guy for me because he had some physical advantages over me. He was bigger and stronger because he was about 200 pounds, 200, 205. I was 180. So he got like a 20-pound, advantage, maybe 15, 20-pound advantage over me. And then he ran 4.3. And so he had a speed. So if it ever came just a track meet between myself and him, he was he had an advantage over me. Or if it ever became a physical, fight between myself and he, it was going to be tough. So I had to be patient, and I had to be more studious as far as how to run routes and deceive him.
You had to be a little bit more scientific when it came.
Yeah.
With that frame, to say the least. So all those guys that we named, who do you like to burn more in practice? And then we'll answer this guy's question.
Well, you know what? Corey was that guy. I love getting them all, really. I love getting them all. It was Corey Sawyer. Corey was technical. Corey's quick, got great ball skills. Corey is very aware of what's going on. So he'll trick you into throwing a pick in, just like Terrell. He has that ability like Terrell of awareness of the football field. He's a basketball player. He's a great basketball player. And he has great awareness. Cliff is same. Cliff is tenacious. He's quick, and so they all had different styles. Buck is so fast and athletic, right? And then he is willing to take a chance. And so they all had different characteristics that you have to be aware of. And so when I go against those guys, I get my book that I saved up and studied upon on how to play against them. And then, I applied that. And so that just made me, as a receiver, you understand how to now compartmentalize who I'm going against and how to defeat, what their weaknesses are, what my weaknesses are versus them, and how to now plan a way of winning.
Makes sense. So out of them, you said, so you're going with Corey being the toughest defender. uh, that you faced?
Yeah, for me.
Okay. So let's answer this guy's question. He wanted to know who's the toughest person that you played against, not Florida State, not at Florida State.
Okay.
Who's the
Well,
toughest?
I'm gonna say it's, well, let me say this right here. The toughest player I played against was Buck Terrell. Terrell was the first toughest guy at Florida State that I played against. Terrell was, he was good. God, he was good. And so much respect to Corey, but Terrell was, and I've been going against him like I said, almost all my life. But he was tough for me to go against because your quarterback had to also help you. But in the game, the toughest guy in the game. I think I played against my freshman year. I played against a DB from Texas A&M. I think his name was Smith, and he was tough. But I wish I had gotten him when I was older. I wish I'd gotten him when I was older. I mean, in my overall career, I've got a chance to go against Darrell Green. Darrell Green, same way. He's very athletic and quick, so he provides. You cannot get into a track meet with Darrell, right? And so going against him is tough. I love going against guys that were super smart. So I would go against. I'm trying to think of his name. Played DB at Carolina with me, and he was very smart. So he could read the concept. So he knew if number two was going flat, that it was a curl or a slant, or it was going to be a dig or it's a go ball. So he could relegate some of the routes. He could eliminate some of the routes, and so he could sit sometimes when you like, man, how do you know I was running this curl route? Well, number two went flat, or number two went vertical right here, so I know you only got to come back, and then it's a go. And I'm like, dog it, I gotta beat you and us at the same time. But those are the guys that are hard, right? I don't know if I played against a guy that was just physically dominating that to where I just felt like I can't beat him. I can't beat him. I just don't. I don't. Yeah. I guess everybody wants to be in that position where you always have a chance. But I always felt like I had a chance against any DB. All right. I just I always feel like I had a chance against any DB, and so I don't know if I ever felt like that there was a guy that just what I didn't want to see.
John passes on. You can't see me. Uh, so you play your first game, August 29th, 1991, in the Pigskin Classic, and I remember watching that game. Uh, you didn't make a reception in that game. Why weren't you targeted in that game?
Well, I did. I caught two of them. I caught two.
So you didn't, but I go with what you say.
Yeah, I caught two in the second quarter. So this is what happened right before that game. So we come out of spring, and I got redshirted, and so we come out of spring, and I going to the season, and I'm starting now. I'm the new starter for Florida State as a redshirt freshman going to the game. But a week before the game happens, I get a hip, pull a hip, right? Or get a hip something or whatever. And then Coach Eason says to me, he said, Kez, if you were a little bit older, I would trust you to come back and recover and start this game. But you just a freshman. I can't trust you. And so he not only did he fire me, he didn't put me at second team. They just put me at third team. And so we in the game, and I told my parents, I'm playing, I'm starting everything, and I get to the game, and I'm sitting on the bench. And I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm watching it. And the two guys ahead of me end up dropping passes. So one person drops a pass. Next thing I know, I'm second team. And another person drops a pass. Next thing you know, I'm starting in the game, and I end up catching two passes against BYU.
So who dropped those passes? Because I want
Yeah, I can't tell you that.
to go back and watch it, and I'm gonna watch it.
I can't tell you that. That's that goes get the creed, man. I can't, But
I got you. You ended the 1991 campaign with 22 receptions, 303 yards. The rubber band man is ready. The rubber
yeah,
band is born, man. So you came out in 1993 firing, bro. How was that year? You got
yeah. Yeah, what happened was after the 91 season, like I said, right, coming out of high school, I've had great confidence. Coming to my next year, that 91 season, my confidence was kind of waned a little bit, right? I came into the first game not starting, and then you go in, you have people drop the ball, you kind of afraid to make a play. You don't want to make a mistake. And so some kind of way that stuff enters into your mind to where you don't want to make a mistake. But then if you play like that, you don't play your best. So I played decent, 22 receptions, my freshman year, which is good. I guess you could say good for a freshman. But I felt like I was better than that, but I was afraid to make mistakes. Going into my next year, I ended up making some plays, but now we're trying to figure out a new offense and try to figure out, what we do. And I started to make plays, and I started to not care about making mistakes. And when you don't care about making mistakes, and you start thinking about making plays, that's what you do. And so then in 1990, and I felt that, when the offense started to run around me, and that offense was the no huddle shotgun offense was kind of created. That thing, it was centered on the Y position, and I was the Y. And so the Y made that thing go. And so all the balls came through me. I was first option on all the balls, really. And, if two people guarded me, then the ball went somewhere else. If one person guarded me, I'm getting the ball. And so when I moved into the slot is when, to me, I feel like all of us came together. Charlie's game came together. My game came together. Our team game kind of came together. We all clicked. We all got in the right place. Charlie got the shotgun. I got in that Y position. And then we started to play our best ball. And so that's when it kind of opened up for us. I think I'm probably a prototypical slot. I'm 6'1". I got long arms. I got giant hands. I'm quick as I feel like I was quick as lightning. And so it's hard for someone, a linebacker or a safety, almost impossible for those guys to cover. And then they didn't, or even a nickel. Even a nickel to cover one-on-one in the slot. And so it just made it hard on defenses. And so I would get some double team, which would open it up for the outside guys to get plays. And so to me, it just made it easier for our offense to kind of run that way. And then we had other formations and personnel that people could take advantage of as well. So we were multiple as far as personnel and multiple as far as, what we did through that offense.
That the offense for you guys, but that was the best thing that happened to Florida State since the inception. So let me get mad at you a little bit because you, Lawrence Dawson and Kenny Shaw ticked me off, and even Apley with this almost 1,000-yard stuff.
Yeah.
y'all make me so mad because I wanted y'all to have it. So in 92, you come around 34 receptions, 521 yards. But it seems like every time I turned around, you were still making plays. So.
Yeah. You know what? And it was a situation too where, it's this the hard part about, when you are blowing people out. When you're blowing people out, it's hard to go and get 1,000 yards. Now, when you're fighting every game, it's easy to get those yards because you're fighting you're playing the whole fourth quarter. But in 93 and in 92, we didn't play the whole game a lot. In 93, man, it was a couple of games where we, I probably could have easily got it, right? If this team is scoring points and you got to score points back with them. But our team, we had the number one offense, and then we had the number one defense, right? You had the number one offense scoring, and you had the number one defense scoring. So it's not a whole lot of in between games where you're fighting for your life, to where you got to be out. You got to be out there for 4 quarters to put up yardage like that. And so that's where we were. And then we were in a situation too where we had plenty of guys that could you could share the ball with and all that kind of stuff like that. So that's the kind of the bad part about being on such a great team is you got to share the ball with a bunch of guys.
I agree. I feel you there because you cut the game off short. I mean, and then all the second string and third string get in. So let me ask you this: you played with 3 amazing quarterbacks. You played with Charlie, of course.
Yeah.
And Danny Cannell and
Brad Johnson.
And Brad Johnson as well. But I don't think he was featured as much as those guys. And
yep.
Brad probably had one of the strongest. And Dan Kendra also as well. But the first season under do you think you had your best season under Casey or Charlie?
Well, I mean, Charlie was, I think, this is, and I tell you the truth right here. Casey, I was so young, I was immature, I was unconfident. And I tell Casey this all the time. I said, Casey, I'm sorry, man. I wish I was older to be able to help you, to be able to, get some more of that. We left a lot of baloney on the table, with Casey, because I feel like we had a tinker enough team to where we should win as a championship. But, he had some immature receivers out there. Young guys running around that like in the future making plays. At that time, wasn't making the plays they could have made. So Casey got the least, part of you. And then Charlie got me, I feel like, part of my best, but also I had played injured, my time at Florida State. So I was injured with Charlie a little bit beginning of the season. That's why, that's what hindered me from getting 1,000 yards, really, because I had some injuries and Florida State was trying to protect me from, getting hit and beat up and stuff like that. And because I came into the season injured, and then so they just, they stopped. They didn't want to, get me beat up the whole year. And then my senior year, I ended up separating my shoulder with Danny. And so you end up, not being able to go out and do the things that you're capable of doing. And that's part of the game, right? You got to play with that. You got to live with that too as well. But, those guys got different pieces of you. Like, and Casey was old. Charlie, we grew up together. We were there together. That's some of our prime kind of overlap. And then Danny was young and I was old. And so you had the different phases of the quarterback that you had. I feel like I had to raise Danny, right? I had to encourage Danny, right? I had to suffer through some of Danny's growing pains. Me and Charlie, we grew up together, right? We grew up together and we were at the same age, we contemporaries almost. And then Casey was mature and he had to raise me. He had to tell me, "Kez, do this right there and encourage me." And so you just had different phases. It is a little bit different, with all those guys because of that.
Okay, so I won't ask you that question because that's a brotherhood over there. Who did you like to work with? Who did you like to work with the most? Because
Shoot, Charlie. What do you want me to say? I love Casey. But like I say, it wasn't Casey's fault though. I was just young, mature. I wasn't ready for what Casey had. And then Charlie, we grew up together, and so the magic was there, right? So we were on the same page. He knew where I was gonna be open, and he's gonna try to get that ball to me. If I'm covered, he's gonna try to get that ball to me because he could trust me. And so, you develop that with, and Danny would say the same thing about EG and Andre Cooper. EG and Andre Cooper is Danny's guys, right?
yeah,
And so they developed that thing with him, and so I talk to those guys all the time, and they, that was their guy. And so that's the way it works.
yeah, that's you answered that quick. I got the comment said, well, ask him. Here's my question here. The dope game. You got off in this one. You got off in this one, and I spoke with Jack Jackson about this, and he tried to downplay it, like y'all that he basically that they basically let y'all off the hook. But I want to ask you about it, Kez, because both of you play the same position. What were y'all thinking when it started getting 28 and 35, 35 to nothing and stuff like that? What were y'all thinking?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you too. I was thinking about, man, shoot, getting ready for the combine, man, protecting my legs and protecting my joints, man. I just been hurt too. I was sitting there because I'd never been in that situation before. Never ever been blown out at Florida State. Never lost game, but it's been close games. Wide right, all that kind of stuff. But I've never been blown out. Never been down 28-3. Never. And so you in that situation to where you're trying to figure out how am I supposed to even respond in this situation that I've never been in. I've never been in this situation before. How do you take a whooping like that? I don't know how to do that. And so that was the situation. And I remember being on the sideline when the tide changed. And the tide didn't change in the game. The tide changed in the decision on the sideline. And I remember, and I tell this story a lot right here. And so that's a great story. I remember being on the sideline watching the field goal, extra point go through for that 28 point. And I recall two players walking past me. Devin Bush and Derrick Brooks walked past me as I was walking back down to the offensive side of the ball after the extra point. And I overhear Derrick say to Devin, "Let's make it respectable." And when they said that, that kind of in my heart gave me the motivation to keep playing, because I felt like, okay, they ain't quit. I ain't gonna quit either. And I remember walking down the sideline, and I remember seeing some of the linemen over there having a little deal over there, arguing or whatever. We're down 28-3. Everybody's, we're about to break. And I remember going over there, and I remember grabbing one of my linemen, Forrest Conley. I say his name. And I grabbed him, I kind of shook him around a little bit. Lucky he was sitting down, but I shook him around a little bit, and I just kind of stole him to, hey man, let's keep playing. And we go onto that field. And I remember the first drive too. First drive of that series, I catch a over route. And I ended up going like 40 yards on the over route. And then we ended up on that drive down. And Mark Rick always asks me, he'll ask me this question: Kez, what's the most important pass you caught at Florida State? And I'll say the Georgia Tech touchdown, or the Notre Dame back of the end tip ball, or and he'll say, no, it's that 4th down and 10 play against Florida. It's 4th down and 10, and I catch that thing, and the DB is sitting at the 10-yard mark, sitting on me. I run a curl route, and I catch that thing on my neck, and I get it. I get that thing by the chair of my chin to chin. I get that thing to a first down. The next play, Zach Crockett runs a trap, right, and we score, and that's the first score of that comeback, where we score 28 unanswered points to have the greatest comeback in NCAA history. And so I remember that game, and I remember almost thinking about quitting, but my teammates, they didn't know. They wasn't saying it to me. He wasn't saying it to me, but I overheard them not quit. And when I overheard them not quit, that motivated me to do the same. And so we got on that field and we went to work, and then eventually UF wore down and the momentum got them, and we scored points to be able to get to the point where we can make that thing a tie.
That was amazing. So let me ask you this here, because I want to go to this Notre Dame game, the game of the century, and I'll let you know what I seen in that. The most important play when y'all knew that y'all had the game, y'all were gonna come back and y'all were gonna not only make it respectable, but y'all had a chance to win this, but the time ran out. What was the most important part of that game? Or
the most important of that game? The most important part of that game was two important parts. For Notre Dame, the most important part was this right here: is before the game, Notre Dame turned the sprinkler system on. So they running the sprinkler system before the game. That was their part of the game that was most important. For us, halftime, my coach the week before had sent some 1/4-inch cleats, spikes. And so at halftime, I changed my spikes so I could stay up in the wet grass. And so it was, I mean, you can say it was a play, but it really, I think it was some strategy outside of the game that really changed the dynamics of the game. That changed the dynamics of the game. And I just happened to have long spikes that I traded out at halftime that gave me the ability to stay up on my feet. Because I don't think if we played on a regular field where they didn't, to me, I'm not trying to tell them about cheetah, but it is what it is. If they played us on a regular field, I don't think they had a chance to stay with us on the football field. I think we're just more athletic.
So you're referring to the Notre Dame game. I want to know the most important play in the choke at dope game, and I'll give you my analysis on this Notre Dame game. What I seen in how you should have won the game for Florida State. This game with the choke at dope game. The- I talked to James Colsey about this play, and I think this interception led me to believe, hey, this was about to be a special game. What
Say it again.
said during the choke at dope game, the most important play to me, to where I knew you guys were gonna do something special, was when Colsey caught that interception.
Oh
And I
yes.
this, yeah, I told him this when he was on the show. Uh, I told him this. I said, I think that's the most important play to me, to where I knew you guys were about to make this a thing. What say you?
I agree. I think that was the most important play, and James was great at that. James was a super smart player, and I think he was perfect for the slot because he knew how to be in the right position. He understood defense. He was super smart, and then Steve Spurrier cannot not try to blow you out. He would, if he was just put the ball in Fred Taylor's hands and let Fred tote it out the game, if even if you lost yardage, they'd walk that game. But he can't do that. His ego, I don't want to say his ego, but he could not try to blow us out.
That's I agree with that. I mean, he's going for it on 4th and 30 sometimes. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's just his personality.
So let's go back over this game of the century, because it was hyped up as the game of the century. That was my
Yeah,
high school graduation year, actually. Uh, uh, the the game of the century where you guys were playing Notre Dame, comes down to the last drive of the game.
yeah,
Did he try to hit you or Kevin? But I seen Matt Fryer open in the corner of the end zone, nobody on him.
yeah.
So I mean, when you roll the tape back and look at that film, what did you see? Because you guys should have won that game.
Well, as a receiver, you want the ball. I ran a flat route, so I wanted to get a chance to get in the end zone. So we ran like the outside guys ran reverse corners. They stemmed in, ran up, and ran corner routes. I ran a shoot route to take the pull the thing down, and then Ward Dunn ran a middle, like a inside the like a tailback
Yeah,
up the shoot type of thing.
seems like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, the same play right there. And so that's kind of what happened in that game right there. The play before that, and nobody probably notices, right? I called it like a inside post, like to get us down there. And
Mhm.
then I think the next play, we had an opportunity to run the same play again. I was so fatigued that I didn't run full speed, and I missed the opportunity to win the game that play. But I had wished, would have loved to have another opportunity to be able to have the ball come to me, right? That's what you want. But what happened was they played a defense. I think they played cover four. We were hoping they would play something else. They played cover four, and they buzzed up under the flat. The cornerback stays deep, so we don't have that shot. And then the safeties in the middle. They kind of had the perfect call for what we were doing, and so he ended up trying to hit work down the back of the end zone where he could have possibly hit the flat Matt. I think Matt was probably clear, but I think the read, the way he was looking at, took him to uh, the middle of the field.
It just seemed to me, because I coach a little football too. It just
Yeah,
seemed to me that side of the field was oversaturated, and I
yeah,
just that right there, he could have just lobbed it to Matt, and you guys win the game. But
yeah.
you, everything you learn, that that's what it is. So we we lost one of the 5 greatest men to ever walk this earth. Coach Bowden passed away. Uh, what were your thoughts? And tell us what he meant to you.
Well, I got a chance to spend a lot of time with him just doing ministry because I would go and travel with him to take him on some of the trips that he would go speak. And later on we became, I feel like we became pretty close. He would definitely encourage me on what I was doing with ministry stuff, and I got, like I said, I got a chance to spend a lot of time with him. So for me, it was he was a mentor, and he was an example of what it looked like to finish strong and to walk out your what you believe. And so I think I saw that even in the later part of his life, walking out what he believed. And that was, to me, just motivating. It was exemplary of what he did. Even when he struggled with his physical things, he would, ask me to Kez if he wants to speak. He would say to me, Kez, I want to speak. And I was like, Coach, you can barely get out of my car. And he would say, well, I don't care. I'm gonna speak. Whatever opportunity that I have to speak, I'm gonna speak. So don't turn down these first grade classes. And I was like, Coach, this first grade classes, you know, but he was motivated and to go out and serve and speak. And so that's the thing I get from him. And then just to his faith too, as well, to his faith and believe it or not, Coach Bowden is stubborn. Coach Bowden is stubborn, but you can tell him that he can't do it. He gonna believe he can. And so you're not gonna convince him he can't do it either. And so that's the thing. One of the things I think about him that is so unique, and it's one of his best attributes, is his faith, and then his stubbornness to do, even though it don't look like it could happen, he's gonna believe for it to happen. And so those are the things.
I'll give you a quick Coach Bowden story right quick. Like I told you, I grew up down there with Matt Fryer and all of these guys right there at the Florida Sheriff's Boys Ranch. And I know you've probably seen the sign.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up down there, and I watched Florida State football all the time. And my foster parents would bring me to some of the games, and just fell in love with Coach Bobby Bowden and his swagger. And I would write him because I wanted, at 11 and 12 years old, you're a kid, and you don't, that's all I had was watching football and sports.
Mm-hmm.
To write him, to write him a letter one day. This just took me over the moon when he wrote back. He wrote back, and he told me to just keep my head up, and everything he would say, son, it just call you son at every chance he got. Uh-oh. Did we lose him? Let's see if we can get him back. See if we can get him back. But I tell that story all the time about Coach Bowden. He's a hero. I don't know if his phone died. Kez's phone may have died. Meanwhile, hang on. Let's see if he's back. Okay. All right, there we go. There we go. All right. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
You can? All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Let me unmute and let me see. All right. You must be on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, for some reason I still can't hear.
All right. All right. So what we'll do, yeah, what we'll do,
Coach Smith, I'm sorry, brother. I cannot hear
all right,
anything you're saying. I'm sorry.
that's okay. We'll end it. We'll end it.
I'm gonna have to go out and come back in, maybe.
Okay. Okay. You hear me now?
Yep, gotcha.
Right. All right. Yeah. But getting back to that, getting back to that story with Coach Bowden, he would write me every time I write him uh, a letter. He'd write me back, and I tell him I want to play for him when I get big enough. He never said he'd let me play for him, but but he definitely made my day, and to me, he's one of the five greatest men to ever walk this planet.
Yes, so play for him.
Yeah. Uh, this your final game at Florida State was the fifth quarter in the French Quarter.
Yeah,
You went off in that one. Four catches for 84 yards.
yeah, absolutely. You know what? I keep telling E.G. Green too as well. I gave that rascal some catches on that game too. You know, I must really care about him because I gave him. He played behind me, and he got in there. He made a couple big plays in the game too. So that's my guy, though.
Yeah.
But no, that was a great game. My roommate, one of my best friends at the time, he was playing receiver. He had a big play in that game, and and it gives a chance of coming back and beat Florida. When you tied them to as well, one of your rivals, right? And that was big for us as a team is concerned, man. I was just very proud of my career at Florida State and the guys I played with.
That was Omar Ellison that made that one big play, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
easy. Oh,
yeah, yeah, he's great. I loved Omar Ellison.
yeah,
So now you're on to to the to the NFL. You get picked in the fourth round, the fifth round. Excuse
yeah.
me. You get picked in the fifth round, and I for one really don't understand why you didn't go higher.
Well,
I mean, Omar Ellison even went 162nd. Clifton Abraham went 143rd, and you went 157th. Why?
yeah.
And you went actually, y'all actually went higher than Terrell Davis. Why did what was going on with that? Because that took me off. What was going on?
Well, I just think for me personally, I think I had some injuries and really at the wrong time. When I went to the combine, I was in great shape, but I didn't run. And then when I got home, I had some IT band syndrome stuff going on, which didn't allow me to be perform at my best. And so you don't run a fast time, and so you don't open the door for your opportunity to be able to see what you can. And when I got to Detroit, the general manager wanted me, and the head coach Wayne Funks wanted me as a receiver. And so when I get there, I realize, I feel like I'm pretty good. I feel like I should be playing at Detroit. I get there and I feel like I should be playing, starting, if not starting, at Detroit for the Lions. And I think Wayne says, in the next day press thing that he's sneaky fast. And I feel like again, I said, I feel like, but you become aware of the politics of, and not even politics really is, if you're going to invest in somebody, you got to make sure you pay them. And so that's kind of how it works over there. You got to, you go and invest in the guys that you're going to play, and you're not going to be wrong if you put money in people. And so that's kind of what's going on a little bit at Detroit. And so I had to wait my turn a little bit. And then my third year at Detroit, I finally get the point where I can start, and then you have an injury, and so it's a lot of different um, uh, parts of things that can happen that can prevent you from doing the things you want to do, and that was that's what happened to me. Is I ended up getting injured my third year in Detroit, and then the next, and before you know it, the opportunity has passed you by.
That sucks because, I mean, this is around the time was Herman Moore still there?
Yeah,
Uh,
Herman was there.
Perriman still there? And
Brett had just left, so Brett got there, and I played with Brett for 2 years, and then Brett left and went to Miami, and so now
right.
it's my opportunity.
That was I didn't understand it, and I said it when you went in the draft. I was like, "Why is he not playing? Why is he not a star out here?" That was ticking me off. I'm going to be honest with you. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So you're over in Canada now.
Yep.
So how did that go? How
Well,
did that?
it went good because at that point in time I had just had surgery
Mhm.
on my foot. The thing that was bothering me, the injury you had surgery in your foot, didn't know what was going on, but I finally figured out what's going on with you. Right, you get it resolved, but nobody wants to say because you got injuries. Right, and you've been kind of shuffled around for a little bit, and so nobody knows what you can do. And then I think I got a suggestion from someone. You just need to get filmed, and so I signed with Canada and Canadian Football League, and I go up there and I have a great year. To the fact to where they said, man, I don't, they say, well, I don't know why you here, and nobody wants to hear your story, but I think I lead the league in touchdowns, and also
It said 15. It says you had 15.
I feel like I could have had 20, 30. I feel like I could have had 30. And so I realized how those contracts work, and so they would not let me come back. I couldn't sign with anybody, and so I went back up there another year, and then beginning of the next year, I tear my ACL.
Wow.
Yeah, and then and then I had to make the decision that it's time for me to transition to doing something else.
Wow, bro. So you said you had 4 touchdowns in one game. So now you're over. You're back over in the States, and you're coaching at Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah.
Correct. Uh, how was that? Because I actually tried to get on y'all guys' staff as a recruiting coordinator, but nobody called me back.
Yeah. You know what? I had a couple of years of just coaching. Right? I was a high school head football coach at the school here. Well, before that, I owned a facility. So I trained athletes, trained a bunch of athletes here locally, Antonio Cromartie and Ernest Sinclair High School, and then a bunch of the guys with the combine and everything that I did that for years, and then moved to Jacksonville and doing the same thing in Jacksonville, and then I took a head coach job at McClay High School. So that was my first high school coaching job, and so learning on the run what head coaching is, right? Because it's not the same. Head coaching and position coaching or playing is not the same as being a head coach. So you
Right.
learn on the run, and then I started coaching. I got a chance to coach in a small NAI school college, then coaching the CFL, and then high school, then back to the CFL again. Had a lot of success. Won 2 championships in CFL, and then I'm at Middle Tennessee State University, as an assistant there, and so I'm there, and really prime. Feel like I'm a great coach, but the college circumstances weren't optimal for me. Right, you in college as a position coach, you get the chance to coach position, but your main job is recruiting, which I love to as well. But also I love to coach too as well, and so where I felt like I was in Canada, I got a chance to be involved with the whole offense. I got a chance to install and put plays together and be a part of that whole deal. In college, you didn't get a chance to do that. And so I don't know if that was for me in that situation, me loving football, me loving coaching and teaching the techniques of it, and then not necessarily getting as much of an opportunity to do that as I would have liked to. So I decided it's time for me to transition. In the middle of me transitioning, I'm at the Senior Bowl, looking for a job at the Senior Bowl, and A good friend of mine, the same guy that drafted me for the Detroit Lions. We were good friends. Ron Hughes, he was offering me an opportunity to come with him and be in the front office for the Buffalo Bills. And I'm struggling with that because I want to coach. And but I'm thinking, okay, maybe if I get over there with the Buffalo, that maybe that would transition to a coaching job eventually. But I was not willing to do it. And then a friend of mine, again, more friends you need. You gotta have friends, I guess. A friend of mine says, "Kez, what about FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes?" And I said I didn't want to, but I didn't want to, but he kept convinced me to come to a meeting with him, and I went to the meeting. And when I got to that meeting, I feel like the Holy Spirit convicted me of being in ministry. And so
I think that's your wheelhouse, bro. Because I can see it in your spirit, bro. I really do. I think this is who you were born to be. So let me ask you this, and I'll get you out of here on these last couple of questions. Give me a great Charlie Ward story, because I had Chris Childs on my show the other day, and he gave me two great Charlie Ward stories that were hilarious. But give me a great Charlie Ward story, and give me a good Barry Sanders story.
oh my goodness! Charlie Ward. You ain't got many Charlie Ward stories that I got that are good, but I'm trying to think of one here. I think I probably got more recently than I have. But I'm gonna tell you this story right here. This is after Charlie retired from basketball. So Charlie retired from basketball, and I heard he was coaching somewhere, and then all out of the blue, I get a call from Charlie. And he's asking me about weight equipment, and so cause I found out he's taking the head coaching job of a school in Texas, in Houston, a high school football. I'm thinking to myself, Charlie, you ain't coached football, never. You ain't played football since 1993, and now you go from playing pro basketball in a high school head football coach. And he called me and he asked me, he said, "Kez, how much weight equipment can I get for $750?" I said, "Charlie, you can't get nothing. You can't get nothing for $750, Charlie."
Oh my God! Yeah,
Yeah,
he probably get about 4 dumbbells with that. What's wrong?
yeah, he will. Yeah, he can get the holding pins on the side of the rack. That's what he can get. But he just called me, asked me about what he can get for $750. But he was ready to go gun ho all into that thing. Well, and then Barry Sanders too. Man, Barry was amazing. Barry was amazing just to play with, just watch him in practice, because he would play so hard and fast in practice. Barry never lost a gasser, right? Barry never came to mini camp, but Barry never lost a gasser. After practice, they ran gassers. Barry never lost one. He was going to run full speed on every one of them, trying to win. And then just in practice too, man, you can just imagine in practice what he would do in practice, and then see him in the game, it would. But me and Barry were locker mates for the 4 years I was there. So for 4 years, we had lockers right next to each other. And so he would have he had this big old Nike contract. So he had like 1 million shoes. It would be piles of shoes up under my locker too. So he used my locker as his overflow of shoes under the locker, kicking shoes back up on his locker. And then some days, guess what? On some days, like on Mondays was days we got paid. And so I would get my little check, and I would get my little check. But then he would leave his check on his seat. And I would get his check, and I would get it in the light. And I would look at that check and see all them zeros on that thing. And say, ooh, wee, boy, if I do this thing right here, boy, I want the cameras is watching me, because they probably watching me to see if I pick up his check, because he wouldn't ever pick up his check until late. And then in the game, too, Barry had the same, the look on his face, the same expression on his face. If Barry had a bad play, which was very rare, right? If he had a bad play, this was Barry. If he had a good play, a big run, 80-yard run, touchdown, this was Barry. If we won, this was Barry. If we lost, this was Barry. There was no emotional outbursts from Barry. Every once in a while, my goal was to get him to laugh. So I was trying to get him to laugh, right? You'd get a little snicker at him every once in a while. But he was just kind of, him and Charlie was similar. They were just even keeled guys, even keeled guys.
Yeah, it looked like it. I mean, even Warwick Dunn at saying that they all remind me of each other. They just have that special gear, like yourself as well. Uh, Anything you would change about your career, if you could, would there be anything you could change about it?
No, I think my career has helped me become the person I am. The stuff happened in my career that looking from where I came from, my expectation was, yeah, it was surpassed. I don't think I ever thought about playing pro ball or playing pro football or, being in the Hall of Fame or being an All American. That stuff was not on the radar. I didn't know that was possible. And now I look back at it and I can say, my goodness, thank you. Thank you, God, for allowing me to be in that position. Because, at hindsight, everybody wants more in hindsight, right? Can I have a little bit more? But, looking at it from a realistic point of view, I got everything I expected, more actually than I expected when you first start. You just don't anticipate, of all the people in the world, for you to be in a situation to be a part of some things that you got to be part of. And guess what? I'm still looking to do even greater stuff.
So am I. I'm with you there. Uh,
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Uh, we have, as a fan base, we've been on the down spiral. Do you see us making a push anytime soon to get back to the top of the college football rankings?
Yeah, I think this is the part of the deal right here. I think we got to find an advantage. I can't prognosticate or give read the future, but I know we have to find an advantage. You got to find some advantage. You got to find somebody who's willing to sacrifice something greater, than everybody else is willing to be able to give us an advantage. So we got to get a coach that stays here the way he should be, a head coach that lends his expertise to us, or several coaches. And then you're gonna have somebody that some kind of advantage that you give us that we wouldn't normally have, that nobody else has. That's where it comes from. Back then we had consistency of staff. You had a head coach was in a dominant position to where he could, and then you were in Florida and you had some advantages in Florida, being in Florida too, the baby where you can build your program up to. You got to have some type of advantage. I don't want to say you cheat, but you got to be able to have a cheat code somewhere.
I
And,
got you.
and so where's Florida State's cheat code? That's the question I'm gonna ask you, and I'm gonna ask everybody: is where's Florida State's cheat code? You got to have them somewhere, and so we got. So I'm not gonna say what's gonna happen. I'm hoping that we do great, but I'm just saying usually you got to have some kind of way of an advantage.
Amen. Uh, this will be the last question I ask you, and I get you out of here. But first, I want to ask you this here. So, what are y'all doing for football camp this year with your kids? What are y'all doing this year? Because
Well,
we want to invite y'all down to Panama City to champ camp.
okay, I would love to.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would
If,
send me
we'd
the
love to
information.
come down and be a guest speaker. Amari Gaynor, he comes down every year.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Works is a good friend of mine too as well, and he talked about Champ Camp as well, and a couple other guys that talked about camp. So I'm with it. I'm all for it.
But let's do it. I'll set it up. I'll call Champ, and we'll set it up, and I'll let you guys introduce each other to yourselves. So, give me your Mount Rushmore, Florida State all-time greats. We do five over here. We don't do
Oh wow.
yeah. We do five over here.
Yeah.
And if you want to go straight receivers, or if
Nah.
you go all five, but everybody always puts Coach Bobby Bowden.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
Bobby and Mickey. It's Bobby and Mickey for the coaches, right? I'm gonna probably go more than that. Bobby
Okay.
and Mickey. It's I'm gonna go from the past. It's probably Ron Sellers. I'm gonna say Ron Sellers, and maybe even over my guy Blitnikoff. And I love Fred, but I'm gonna say Ron Sellers. I'm gonna say Ron Simmons. I'm gonna say Dion,
Wow.
and then you're gonna have Charlie, uh, and I'm a, I love some Jameis Winston.
Okay.
I
Okay.
do. I love some Jameis Winston too as well, and Peter Ward.
Yeah.
So those are my favorite guys as far as, if I had to put a Mount Rushmore's, if those are the guys.
So you said Peter Warwick. You mentioned Peter Warwick. A lot of people have been, you know, calling Florida State a Peter Warwick school now because Dion is taking on his own thing, and rightfully so. He's doing his own thing right now. And a lot of the guys I interviewed, like Donald Heaven, Avis Comack, who else? Somebody else I interviewed, Nick Wasom, and all these guys are saying it's pretty much a Peter Warwick school now. What do you say about that?
I say probably not. This is the thing right here though is those guys. I don't know if those guys get a chance to be around Dion. And so when I was at school, guess what? Dion always came around. Always came around. If we came to Atlanta, guess what? Dion was there to take care of. But Dion didn't know me. He didn't play with me. But I was a Florida State guy. Dion loved on me. All those guys. That's why all those guys loved Dion, because Dion had done a good job of taking care of the guys there. So irregardless of the situation at Colorado, he coaching. He got to be for his people. He got to be for himself too as well. But the things that he done for the school, that's Florida State. I mean, I'm on forever. And me and Dion don't hang like that. We don't hang like that. I met him. I know him. He knows me. We've been around each other. I almost talk trash to him. I can't. People always try to challenge, put ups against each other. And I'm like, I can't say that I won't give Dion the business, but I do respect him. But I can't. My pride won't let me just submit to any DB. But I mean, he showed the pattern of what Florida State could be. He showed the pattern, so you can't deny that. Folks will get bitter and everything by Travis and all the other stuff like that, but you can't deny that Dion showed the pattern of what Florida State can be, and help put it on the map too as well.
I'm so glad to hear. Well, I thank you for stopping by tonight, man, and I would love for you to come back by because we missed out on a lot of Ampli questions and stuff. But I would love for you to come back by sometime and we can talk about it more. And let's talk about this champ cap thing, man, because I really want y'all to come, man.
All right, I appreciate you. We love to. Okay.
All right, brother. Thank you, Kez. Thank you so much.
God bless you.
God bless you too, brother.
All right. Bye.
That was the legendary Kez McCorvey, and I'm so honored to stop it. That was my favorite receiver at Florida State. Him, Rashad Green, or Burt Reed, or obviously that's family. My favorite receivers. I love Tamarian Terry as well. But when Kez McCorvey had that ball, when Kez McCorvey had that ball, or they were throwing that ball, something magic was about to happen. Something magical was about to happen with that ball. So we were about to score. We're about to do something magic. And I am so glad I got to talk to one of my heroes from the past. It was great talking to him, and we'll see about getting him down here to Panama to be in champ camp. We love you, man, and Florida State needs to get it right. Go Noles. Thank y'all for tuning in. This has been the Retro Jersey Podcast.